Greetings. This is Jed Shlackman, and I'm a holistic healer here in Miami, Florida. In this presentation, I will be speaking about the topic of energy healing. Energy healing is a somewhat broad topic as it covers a variety of healing practices that in some way relate to working with or influencing energy and energy flow. This idea of energy is something that we can take a look at to get a deeper understanding of what energy actually is, how it functions and relates to our reality. When we talk about energy, we are talking about some form of vibration. So energy is always in some way vibrating. There's a frequency or a wavelength, and there's also a flow or a movement. So if something is energy, it can never be perfectly static or still. It's always flowing in some manner or pulsing. We can look at energy as a field as well as a current. So if we look at electromagnetism, we see that there are magnetic fields, but there is also a current of electricity. So that model or understanding of energy can be applied to the energy of life, to the life force, and how that energy flows through a human being. Energy healers use a variety of techniques or methods to help in some way influence or rebalance that flow or pulsation of energy. The energy field of a human being or another living organism is often referred to as the aura. It may sometimes be called a biofield as well. This field of life, this aura of energy, is something that some people are able to perceive. You might call them clairvoyant, having clear vision that goes a little bit beyond the normal range of human perception. We must realize that our range of perception is actually quite narrow. The electromagnetic spectrum includes many frequencies or wavelengths that are below or above the range of human perception. So we have visible light, we have audible sound that we hear, but there's also many other ranges or bands of frequencies that we are normally not able to perceive. That includes things like X-rays and microwaves, ultra-high frequency, extremely low frequency. There's infrared light, ultraviolet light. Those are just some examples of frequencies that our human sensory perception usually does not take in. Beyond those, we can postulate that there are non-physical frequency layers. You might refer to that as the spiritual realm. So our consciousness, our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, those are forms of energy too. And we can conceive of them as existing in a field, yet that field is not something that human technology or human senses are normally able to perceive. Our aura could be understood to include those other layers of frequency, those layers of vibration that we're not able normally to perceive. So our thoughts, our emotions, our memories, all of that exists in some energetic form that is part of our aura. When we practice energy healing, we often are able to influence or trigger those other layers in some manner. So a practitioner of medical qigong or reiki or pranic healing, those types of methods where a person is in a sense going into resonance with the energy field of another being, they can start to influence it in some manner, perhaps helping that other person, that other being, have a shift in their energy system, in their energy flow or energy field. When we look at things that exist in physical reality, we often talk about molecules and atoms and subatomic particles, the domain of what physicists are usually exploring. Well, let us ask the question, how does an atom come into being? So what is bringing the protons, the electrons, the neutrons, what is bringing all of that together to form this seemingly discrete particle? The answer to that question would be that there is a field of energy that is bringing that atom into being. For those familiar with nuclear energy, the energy that is used to generate power for billions of people around the world to use in their electrical appliances, we know that nuclear fission is a process designed to unleash the energy that is present in an atom. So by breaking that atom apart, all of that massive amount of energy is released. So from that little tiny and seemingly invisible particle of matter, there is a huge amount of energy that was there holding it together. When you split the atom, that energy is released, and it can be used for other purposes now besides just holding that particle together. That shows that reality, the physical reality, is really just a small layer or slice of reality that's actually being held together from deeper layers of reality. The ancient mystics, the spiritual teachers of many ages, have talked about the concept of body, mind, and spirit. So the spiritual layer of reality is actually the most basic or fundamental layer. Without that layer, the physical layer would not exist. So the physical reality is in a sense a projection. That projection is being brought into manifestation through these different layers of energy. So consciousness, or the spiritual intelligence, is at the foundation of the perceived physical reality. And you have these different frequency bands that are spreading out, that are being projected all the way down to the dense level of the physical form. This is something that our mind has a hard time conceptualizing, so we often use metaphors to look at these ideas. One metaphor is the projection of a movie. In that metaphor, you have the recorded film. That recorded film is a film strip that you put through a projector, and the light from the projector carries those images onto a screen. So the screen would be analogous to the physical level of reality. It's where we perceive things externally. The projector is the light, the energy that's being used to carry the information which is condensed into the image on the screen. And the recorded movie is like our consciousness, our spiritual intelligence, which is actually creating those ideas and images that are being projected into the physical reality. Another valuable metaphor is the metaphor of water in its multiple states of being. We know that water on the level of gas is not really visible. There's water vapor, it's there in the atmosphere, but when we're out walking, we don't even notice that there's water vapor in the air, other than our sense of some humidity. We're not actually seeing the water that's present in the air. When that water in the gas form gets condensed, it can become liquid. And we're all very familiar with liquid water. We feel it when it rains, we see it in a pool, in a lake, in the ocean. So it's just water that has slowed down its vibrational energy to a certain extent, so now it's in a liquid form. If we slow down those water molecules a little bit more, if we bring the temperature down with them, we can make that water a little bit more solid. It becomes ice. It's seemingly frozen. Of course, even that frozen water, the water in the ice form, is actually still molecules and atoms that are in motion. It's still vibrating energy. Just relative to our physical senses, it seems to be stable and solid and steady now. So using those analogies, we can think of energy as well as existing in multiple levels or densities. So there's the spiritual energy that we cannot even perceive. It's a realm of consciousness. Then that energy, that vibration slows down some, and it becomes forms of energy that we may in some way be able to measure or perceive, such as the electromagnetic spectrum. Then that energy gets slowed down, it gets condensed even more, and it actually takes the appearance of physical form. So it becomes the cells in our body, the particles that make up our furniture, the trees that are around in the environment outside, and so many other things that we just take for granted as part of our physical reality. In some of the ancient cultures, there were descriptions for energy in its more subtle forms, where it's not quite in the physical layer of reality, but it's not necessarily just pure consciousness. It's a layer in between. It's the energy that's being brought into this physical world to create life. In the Indian yogic traditions, they refer to this energy as prana, prana being the breath of life, the life force. In the Orient, in countries like China and Japan, the word chi or ki has been used to refer to that energy. That also is the spiritual life force energy. And so that would be the energy that practitioners of medical qigong, practitioners of reiki, and other energy healing methods are applying. That energy is always present. So the spiritual source is always channeling energy down toward what we perceive as the physical reality. Those different layers of reality are not separate from one another. Creation is a never-ending, ongoing process. You could think of it like a feedback loop where the consciousness is transmitting concepts, ideas, beliefs, imagination through these layers of energy into an externalized reality that can be experienced, that can be observed and reflected upon. And then based on those experiences, those observations and reflections, the consciousness actually transforms itself and adjusts and reshapes what it wishes to create. With energy healing, we can use our mind or our consciousness to influence energy. So just by meditating, by visualizing, using those types of methods of applying imagination and intention, we're able to shift patterns of energy and create an effect in the apparent physical reality that we perceive around us. We can also become more consciously aware of the energy that's flowing through us, becoming more conscious of our breath, of the subtle energy that's pulsing through our body. And we can actually focus that energy, such as by directing our hands in certain positions, feeling the energy radiating through our hands. One simple example or exercise that we can do with this is to begin to imagine that we have this powerful energy streaming through our body. You can feel that energy getting stronger with each breath. You can feel the energy as it comes down through your head, down through your chest, down your back, down through your stomach, all the way down past your waist. Feel that energy radiating down your legs, all the way down through your ankles and down through your feet. You may notice a warmth, a tingling, a pulsation as it radiates through your body. And then you can bring that energy with your awareness through your hands. You can hold your hands out in front of you just like this. And feel that energy now streaming through your palms, through your fingers. You may feel it pulsing, creating a ball of energy between your hands. It may feel like there's a magnetic or electrical sensation there. Your hands may feel like magnets as the magnets approach each other. You'll notice it comes to a point where they can't come any closer. The field of energy around each hand is so strong that as they interact with each other, they can't come any closer. There is a seeming solidness to that field of energy. If you were to move one hand around like this, you'll notice perhaps that you can actually feel that movement with the energy of the other hand, the hand that is still, for it can perceive the energy that's moving around it. You can sense it. And so we are unconsciously aware of energy in our environment. We may perceive someone who's staring at us from behind, even though we don't actually see them with our eyes. We may start to sense the projection of energy that's occurring as they bring their attention, their focus of awareness toward us. As we become more conscious of these other layers of ourself, we can become more intuitive. We can perceive things in these other layers, in these other frequency bands of energy. We can even come to recognize that there is a level of our being that is in some way united with all other forms of life and other forms of existence. We might call that a unified field, a source field, the divine matrix of consciousness. We can use our awareness of that to facilitate distance healing, to create telepathic communication. We can use it for remote viewing, perceiving things anywhere in time or space or beyond. So energy at its deepest level is not separate or discrete. It's really a unified field. It all exists within one source intelligence or consciousness. And so energy as we're perceiving it is just different emanations, different patterns that are in some way being generated at different layers coming out from that source. I invite each of you to explore the topic of energy healing, whether it's Reiki, acupuncture, Qigong, pranic healing, yoga, meditation, energy psychology. There are many forms of energy healing, and there are even some that are using technology to detect or transmit frequencies of energy. So that includes sound energy, laser light energy, electromagnetic energies, also forms of biofeedback. These are all different ways of working with energy, working with vibration, with frequencies. It's been a pleasure to take this time to share with you. For those who would like to learn more about energy healing, including Reiki, which is a form of energy healing that I teach, you may visit my website at www.phinsights.com. That's www.phinsights.com. You can also find my information on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Jedi Holistic Healing. Namaste.